into talking about my team, my beloved Philadelphia Eagles last year. Let's revisit that. They went 11-6 after an epic collapse that broke my heart. And
That was bad. It's one of the worst collapses I've ever seen.
uh, Same. And then they played maybe in my entire fandom a top 10 most painful game I've ever had to watch, which was the wild card loss to the Buccaneers, where they lost 32-9, completing the collapse.
Oh,
Uh,
I just pulled it up here. So the Philadelphia Eagles had one of the biggest collapses in NFL history last season, becoming the first team since 1986 New York Jets, no shocker, to start 10-1 and finish with 5+ losses while failing to win the division.
yeah, so that was fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're compared to the Jets.
and last season, their total defense was 26th in the league, 31st against the pass,
Yeah.
10th against the run. In total offense, they were 8th, 16th in total passing, 8th in total rushing. Now, looking into this season, they are projected to, their over-under is projected at 10.5. Both Casino and I said over. And their stats, according to PFF, going into the season, they have the second ranked O line, the 9th running back room,
Ooh.
the 3rd in wide receiver group.
9th in the running back?
Yeah, I know that one confused me as well, but we'll get to it. 3rd when it comes to wide receivers, 3rd on the D line, and 30th when it comes to linebackers. So with besides running back, I actually think those stats are those projections I actually agree with pretty much all of them. I would even say maybe their linebackers are worse. They might have the worst linebacking core in the league, but Arizona still takes that. So they are going into this season with the 4th year of Nick Sirianni as the head coach, and first year as Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator coming over from Dallas, and then he spent time at the Chargers. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio in his first year, last helping the Eagles in their Super Bowl playoff run. But Casino, both you and I think this is an 11-win team. Why?
I mean, they bolstered up their running game. I mean, you still have what? You still have Gainwell. You still have. Is that it? Yeah, that's
Well,
yeah.
It's Gainwell, it's Will Shipley, the running back out of
Gotcha.
Texas, which I actually really like. I like
Yeah.
that
So I
pickup.
mean, but I mean the fact that Saquon Barkley and you're still ninth, with Gainwell, who's proven his worth as a fill-in guy. You
Well,
know.
also the rushing ability of Jalen Hurts as well.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that
I
helps
mean,
them too.
just. But I mean, they're not counting that in consideration, right? Or is that part of
That
the?
I mean, online they just keep calling him a running back. So why not throw him in the mix of running back?
There you go, dude. Yeah, I mean this team is still going to be outstanding. I kind of what's going to, in my opinion, is kind of be like what the Ravens are going through, where they all of a sudden, they got Derrick Henry, you got Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles. Two massive names who were with teams that just weren't going to get over the hump. That was their offense. Saquon was the Giants' offense. Henry was the Titans' offense. So now you get those onto teams that actually have some star power and actually have a chance to go to the Super Bowl, to win the Super Bowl. I love every second of it, man. I mean, and you still have Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. That's that offense is going to be stout. Like I'm going to have trouble seeing this team scoring less than 14 points a game easily.
Oh yeah, I think they'll do way better than that. I think last year, if
I know
anybody
I'm
listened,
trying. I was about to say 20, 21, but I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it
you're hedging
14.
your bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that also we'll get to free agency in a second, but what happened a couple hours ago was they bought over Jahan Dotson in a trade from Washington, and I've seen people loving this
In
move.
division, man.
That's what I'm
Ballsy.
saying. I've seen people loving this move. I've seen people hating this move. I think the context being lost in this move is it's a wide receiver 3. So everybody's like, they gave up too much. The Commanders gave up too little to give him away. It's a guy who will be on the field for 25% of the snaps, like actively involved. It's a starter without being a starter. It's your third string wide receiver. Again, I'm fine with the move. I'm not losing my shit over it. I'm not like this was a terrible trade. I just think it was a good depth move. But again, I've seen people losing their minds
Yeah, I mean, he was a
one way
former
or the
first
other.
rounder. A former first rounder. I mean, you bring him in not expecting him to be the guy. You have the two guys, that are going to be the targets. He's a good third option. I'm not mad at it. If I was your team, I'd be like, hey, we just got a first rounder on our team. We can
Yeah,
develop him how we want to develop him. We could take the pressure off of him. We can utilize him in those, all right, we're going to go five wide, situations.
yeah.
You know,
I agree. And then we also have I say we like I'm fucking part of the team,
you
but
are a
the
part of the team.
Eagles, yeah. The Eagles also have him in a rotation with John Ross and Paris Campbell. So I like that. Again, I like the entire it's almost night and day compared to the Cowboys because I pretty much love everything about the Eagles offense and how it's being built and their O line, especially after losing Kelsey. They rebuilt it to look so good.
Yeah. Who do they replace center with?
So it's going to
What was
be
it?
Cam
What's that?
Jurgens.
Yeah.
They also got Matt Hennessy as backup, who was a guard on the Falcons. He'll be taking snaps at center if anything happens with
And
Jurgens.
shots.
So, yeah, he'll be taking shots at
Get it?
center if anything happens with
Get it?
Jurgens. I get what you're saying.
Thank you.
So again, let's talk about free agency. But what I was saying about Eagles Cowboys is I think the Cowboys will be fine on defense and question marks on offense. I think the Eagles will be more than fine on offense with just question marks on defense because again, their defense was basically the reason why they collapsed last year. But
Right.
to take care of that, they brought back Avante Maddox, who I still think is a very good and competent slot cornerback. They brought back CJ Gardner Johnson, the safety they had the Super Bowl year. They brought him back from the Lions. I think he is maybe the most perfect Philadelphia Eagles player, just in terms of attitude and how he plays. So he's a fan favorite. I'm very happy he's back. They brought Devin White to shore up that linebacking core. Again, their linebacking group couldn't get worse. So bringing in somebody like a Zach Braun from the Saints and Devin White from the Bucks, as long as they have bodies in there, that's all I care about.
Right.
Then they brought in the two big signings this offseason were Bryce Huff, the defensive end from Jets, who I think will flourish with this Eagles team. And then obviously we talked about it, Saquon Barkley, the running back from the Giants, who might be it's looking like the best running back the Eagles have had, maybe in my lifetime, or at least since LaShawn McCoy. So I'm very pumped about this upcoming season, Casino. I think they're right there with Lions and 49ers as the team projected to be fighting for the number one seed in the NFC, right?
Yeah.
Uh Now obviously
I'm all for it. I'm all with you on that.
the obvious concerns for this team are I think a lot of those concerns from last season are not going to translate because I bitched about it so many times last year where it was the defensive coaching and the offensive coaching was just two guys who had never done it before and it showed, and I would constantly be complaining about how terrible their offenses were, and especially their defensive performance. I trust Kellen Moore. He's had multiple years having the number one offense under his belt. And then I trust Vic Fangio as one of the best defensive minds currently in football. So I think just strictly from a coaching perspective, those might have been the biggest upgrades this season. And that's why I think an 11-6 team that started 10-1 and then collapsed will not have that issue to worry about because they have competent adult coaches in the room that can lead their units. And then,
Don't you
uh,
just love it when because I felt the same way with other coaches, for the Patriots. I was never a Josh McDaniels fan, like ever. And I talk about it like Why are you running this play? Why aren't we running this play? Like we could do their jobs. Like it just makes me laugh to think, we see it and we say, oh, we could do that job so much better. We would have called this play or called that play, but
Yeah.
it's funny. It's funny to me. I mean, we could be right. We could be right. But it's really funny when people try to say, "Oh, these coaches are doing things wrong, this and that." There's always a rhyme and reason for things. We just, you know, I sorry, that's totally off topic.
No,
It's just
no.
really,
I
it's
get
really funny.
I
It's really
agree.
funny to me
Yeah.
when
And then
I've tried to look at things at a different light. I've tried to become a more well-rounded sports fan and not just so angry about everything going on. I want to be like, oh, this coach is justified because of this or this or this guy or that guy. But
well,
I try.
I always think, especially when you see coaches, I always think it's telling to where like coaches leave a team and they either get the same position somewhere or a head coach position, right? That means like, oh, they're competent, they're good at their job, like they know what they're doing. And then when you see the two Eagles coaches for offensive and defensive coordinator last year, neither of them got either head coaching considerations or those same positions at other teams. So I think that's all you need to know, right? Like how good they are at their job is that 31 other teams were like, no thanks, right?
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think
then it
that's
makes you
telling.
wonder how Josh McDaniels got a head coaching job
I
twice.
mean, that's yeah. Well, but at least he had Brady, right? So then you can be like, well, it
Yeah,
was clearly Brady. It wasn't him.
Brady is what made Josh McDaniels look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he
And
had
then
one of the worst.
Brady made Belichick look good. Belichick made Brady look good because they each ran the offense and one ran the defense.
Well,
That's
but
why that relationship worked.
at least without Brady, Belichick still had success with the Giants and, all those defensive teams that
Yeah.
won Super Bowls. So
Yeah.
he at least has a pedigree. Josh McDaniels, you can make the case, might have been the worst head coach in NFL history.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that's saying something. But
Twice.
that's true. Oh yeah, with the Broncos and with the Raiders. But yeah, so I think when it comes to the Eagles, again, I'm always more terrified than I am hyped, but I do think that anything less than a deep playoff run for this Eagles team will be a missed opportunity because I really do think they have all the pieces in place to make a run. That's the best I can do. Next up, Casino. Let's talk about.
Wow, we did that segment in like 10 minutes. Well done.
I
Very proud of
again,
you.
I'm cautiously optimistic. Last year broke parts of my heart I didn't even know I had. So I'm trying to go into this as a. I told my wife yesterday I'm done being negative. I'm gonna be Mr. Positivity from now on. So I was I was always
Oh man.
glass half empty. Now I'm going to be glass half full, right? So
Oh no.
optimistically, I'm looking good.
Don't worry,
Uh
everybody. I will keep tabs on this off the air,
you can
and
see it
I
on
will
the
report.
podcast. Mr.
I no, I
Positivity.
will. Okay, but if we're talking, you're making a whole change. I mean, we still talk. You and I still talk every day.
That's true.
You know,
You will
I
notice.
I don't want to see one rant. I mean, I will miss the rants, but I don't want to see one rant in our group chat. Not one.
And you know what? On this podcast, we've already seen a little bit of it because I would have normally tore into that guy who commented such a dumb shit thing. But
Hey, you're being angry.
I praised him when I could have shit on him. And last bit before we move on from the Eagles casino is Jalen Hurts went 305 consecutive throws in mini camp without throwing an interception. And then he threw an interception to Darius Slay,
So
ending
he's
the
due.
streak. Well, he ended the streak.
Oh, got
So,
it. Yeah, you just said to Darius Slay.
but apparently going 305 consecutive throws without an INT is a bad thing because that is what I saw on the talking heads do on sports media. So again, you can hate anything you want. You just have to spin it in a way where you're just dumb. You just sound dumb.